Hello World All Day friends, this is Michael Canadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and Carmel Doll Shop. I am here with my friend Chris Collins, Madrid, and we welcome.
Thank you.
And we've been working very hard, and one thing that we try to do a segment with our various speakers, if they brought things to share with all of you, that is great, and it adds more content. But then we also try to have them have a go at what we have, what they would choose to perhaps have in their own collection, or they just want to learn a little more about. So Chris, in this building, which is it's not a giant building, but it's not a small space. There's lots of things to find. Chris picked this doll that she would like for us to have a discussion about, and you just go right to the top. As far as I do believe that she is our oldest doll in the building.
I know, I wouldn't be surprised. I think.
And it packs a lot in it.
It does. It does. For a doll to be commanding and tell a story and be, this is an amazing doll.
It is
an amazing doll, and it stands in its category of woodens.
They're pretty much the queen of the pile.
Absolutely.
Well, Chris, I have had an interesting experience with this doll. There was a time where I think she might have been a little bit naughty, and I thought, I've got to get this straightened out. So I put her in the car, and we drove over to the Mission Basilica in Carmel, which is where Father Junipero Serra was buried, and he's now a saint. And she and I tootled over to Our Lady of Bethlehem. And the two things share this in common. She's probably one of the oldest dolls in public display in California. I mean public, there's probably older dolls in private collections, but in public. And they have the oldest doll figure in America, which is Our Lady of Bethlehem. So she and I went and prayed, and she got a little spritz of holy water, and everything is good.
And she didn't go.
No, she didn't. So she's got a very, very sweet disposition. So here's what I'm going to say about her, and I think it's very interesting. She is of the family of Lord and Lady Clapham.
Oh, she is.
So she is, whoever made them made her. It's just plain to see when you've seen them in life and her. The only difference is they're quite a bit bigger than she is. When we had our wood, wax, and paper mache retreat here, which you did paper mache, yes. She was part of the wood, and actually she got passed around very gently for people to look at. And a couple of our experts on woods dated her at 1730. Now, they were dating her on that because of her clothes, which was a big mistake, because 1730, these are her second set of clothes.
Oh, wow. So
these aren't the first set of clothes, because as we're going to get into this, we're going to look at that. So I have an interesting theory, and so does Francois Thymer, and I think that the only way we're really going to know the origin of these dolls, this particular type of dolls, is by doing a test of the wood. And when we find out where the wood is, that's when we're going to know the country of origin.
True. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Right. So right now they're called William and Mary dolls, but you know what? There was always transportation back and forth. We can't really say, but if we can test the trees, then we know. And I would be willing to give a little tiny bit of her little rear end to do that. And I think it could be earth-shattering. I think there's people that don't want to do that because they don't really want to spoil the illusion of whatever it is. But if she's Flemish, if she's French, if she's English, to me that's all good.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is that part of what our hobby is that we say they're English woodens. It's a William and Mary. It's a and we're saying that only happened in England. That doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't at all.
So you have to understand that some of the dolls that have survived had to come from somewhere else, right? Mm-hmm. This may be English, particularly with Lord and Lady Clapham, but I think it's kind of irresponsible. It's sort of like saying we're our world is the only world in the entire galaxy.
Exactly.
You know.
So why I'm going to say this, and why I didn't argue at the time because it wasn't my show to argue the dating of 1730. I will give it to the costume, which we'll go to, but there was something, because remember, they didn't get to. I'm going to put her little bonnet down. They didn't get to see what we're going to get to see. So first thing is this petticoat with the metal lace on it. I don't think this is, and by the way, when we say petticoat in this era, it doesn't mean the same thing that it means now. This, I believe, is part of the first dress from about 1790. Then there's another thing.
1690?
Or 1690, sorry. 1690. And then there's another thing that's very interesting. All of the, quote, William and Mary dolls have their lower legs are painted. They're usually painted black. If you notice, look at here. They're painted burgundy.
Oh, wow.
And both of them are painted burgundy. Now, usually you see that the legs are going to be a much higher in black, but it just goes to here. This is, feel it. You've got a chance. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance.
No kidding.
See, it's very rough there. They didn't bother to paint it. And here they've done all the finishing. They put the
that's
gessos
incredible.
on.
There's a very different feel between these two paintings.
And then I think we should also look at the shoes. The shoes are very much like Lord and Lady Clapham. It's a much earlier shoe style than you would find in the 18th century.
Wow.
Slightly, clunky in a way.
Yeah,
not as
hobble, almost like a hobble. What do they call that?
And then this little tag, which we only discovered today because I'd never really gotten up in here. And this is very, very interesting. So it's a dealer, a furniture dealer in Paris, exported in 1957. They're saying 17th century doll with an 18th century costume. So this was in here. So it's basically proving. No, I mean, you could say anybody could put that in there, but
why would you?
But why would you? Right. So I think then when we look at this, so I'm saying this is something you find on a 17th century doll. Shoes are like a 17th century doll. Knitting, that could be done at any time. Then I think the stomacher could be from the 17th century. And again, here's a once in a lifetime. Go in there and give that a nice feel. It's ribbed beautifully. That could last way beyond.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter style-wise from the 17th.
And it doesn't really match this, but it matches the legs.
Exactly. Wow. Now the petticoat, just doing some look at this. So I'm going to put the petticoat because of the shape at 1730. But if we just lift this up, you can see that you have fading in the front and darkness on the side. But that's all the way around, because collectors for the last couple of hundred years, when it's faded, they've pushed it, switched it so that you would get from here, you basically have the same condition front to back. So they've been flipping it around for quite a few years. And it's not very often that we get to see the so it's got just a very homespun type of linen for the padding, and then it's a little bit of kapok that is broken away.
So okay, so these are little tears that show the blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wares showing the blue, and that would be that's actually the lining.
Wow.
Now going back to 1730, then you've got the sack back costume, and have you seen Lord and Lady Clapham?
Yes. Not like this.
Yeah, but
yes, I have.
But did you pull the drawers open below them?
They didn't have them on.
Oh, they didn't have them on?
No.
Okay, in Lord and Lady Clapham's display, there are drawers that have their extra clothes. And what is mind-boggling is the prints and patterns look absolutely contemporary.
Really?
You would never, yeah. And I think that this fabric, to me, looks very contemporary. You could find this now,
Yeah.
I think. But it is 18th century, of course, all hand done. Sack back, which is this feature here. But I had never noticed until I got her out for you. Did you see this?
She has a place to put a pocket.
So that would be her way to access
my gosh.
her. Now, our experts that put her at 1730, what they used to determine that was the length of the arms. And I think that these arms have always been on her at this length. They didn't consider that the length of the arms, the only thing that that if this were meant to represent a lady, it would have longer arms. I think she's meant to represent a little girl.
Oh my gosh.
And you can't go by clothes because children wore the same clothes that adults. But by having the arms shorter,
if this was supposed to be part of a family group, that you might understand the difference in the height and the dolls.
Sure,
too.
because you're going to give the doll to a little girl. She's going to represent, be more attracted to having the little girl doll too. So that's just a theory that I have.
No, but that makes sense. Now, do you think the wig is?
I think the wig has a lot of age. When it came to us, it had this wig on, but on top of it was probably a 1950s wig plopped on top of it.
No way.
Yeah. So this wig, I guess they felt was not, exciting or whatever it was.
Wow.
But it is all hand. If you see, it's all hand tied, hand knotted.
I love what I was looking at particularly was this part.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's wonderful.
A natural part, and this when you look at feel this hair, this is untreated hair. It's never been, bleached or dyed, or it's very natural.
Oh wow! Well, you couldn't get that with my hair.
I have it up, but you know what?
You're taking it out. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So she's a
this
little
doll.
girl. So you know what? This kind of actually adds to her girlness. That
Look at that.
she's got lots and lots. It's not hurting it, people. I'm not hurting her.
Oh my
But see,
gosh.
doesn't she look like a girl there?
She really does. Oh, that's fabulous.
Now the bonnet, I feel that the bonnet could very possibly be from the earlier time frame than 1730. Not that it didn't change that much, but if this were flipped up, you see?
Yes.
Are you getting me?
I'm completely getting you. What do they call that?
Fontage.
Fontage. Yes.
Does it?
That's 100%.
So doesn't that?
That is 100% fontage, and that makes more sense than the bonnet with these going forward.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense.
I could train this to stand up again, but that's kind of it. This is more of the 17th century than it is of the 18th century. And then, of course, this costume is beautifully made. And did you notice how the arms are? You don't usually see the sacque back, the pleating in the back, but look at how they carried it forward to the front.
That's amazing.
So that's very unusual. So no matter what, this is a complete costume from 1730. But, I'm not going to argue with anybody, but it just seems to me that the painted legs,
the color coordination, if you look at this bonnet and you look at the
petticoat underneath
with the gold.
And if you can see, there's a little bit of pinks in here.
Oh my gosh.
It's faded out.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty special.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, particularly that bonnet when you flip that up.
And then we should look at the paint, because this is very important. It looks like we have original paint. We may have down in here have something added, and it's almost very. It's not painted like you'd think painted. I think the base coats are the undercoat is multiple layers, and I feel that they dunked it in order to get a nice even coat. And then I'm also going to give you another little tip that a lot of people don't. And Eric, you pay attention to this, because you're in the building business too. Do you know how you get a beautiful paint finish to go on beautifully and to have this pearl-like?
No.
Do you know? You put soap in the paint.
Oh.
So did you know that, Eric? You put soap in the paint. David's father was a painter, and a house painter, and when you go to do beautiful trims, why do some people have just beautiful trim, perfectly painted? They put soap in it, and that gives that pearly. Look at her pearly glow.
She has like incandescent. It's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Really gorgeous.
And we've got the very simple eyebrows, just one stroke with couple little hatches there. Nice bright cheeks, that would be healthy. And we might as well look at her big ears.
Oh, look at
that. Look at those. So it really is a treasure. And we have a little scratch here, and I will tell you that I did go in and I put a little bit of glue in there, just a touch, just to keep the moisture out. And I think I have to do that here too. Just a little dab. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I just don't want moisture getting into it.
So do you think that's gesso?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the problem you see with a lot of the English wooden dolls, is that the moisture does get below it and lifts the gesso.
Just the same if you have an oil painting. Almost all oil paintings have a coating of gesso, and you have to make sure. That's why they varnished them to begin with, so that way it was a sealer, so that you wouldn't have that happening. So it's really, all I have to do is take a little dab of glue and touch that, and it'll take care of that.
Now, is there something in particular you do to preserve this doll?
The thing is, people spend their time worrying about heat, when actuality, cold is just as bad as heat. So what you want to do is, like for instance, okay, let's say if she is English, she's in the perfect place where we're 2 blocks to the ocean, where there's a lot of humidity here. It's very good for them. And we have a consistent climate. But the main thing is consistency. You don't want to have hot, extreme cold. That's it. And then, of course, keeping them dry.
Right.
You don't want them getting wet. I mean, we don't want any dolls wet, but
but I mean, the fact
paper
that she's
maches and woodens and
paper maches, that is like the worst thing. But she's in just such amazing condition.
Well, and I think that we have to stop and think of Why is a doll like this in amazing condition? It's easy peasy to figure out. Anytime a doll is at the top of the food chain, the family, maybe they're nobility or they're industrialists, whatever it is in any economic thing, the wealthier the family is, the less likely the doll has to be played with by the second generation, given up to the next generation. They have the facilities to store them. That's why these sleeping beauties come around, because they're in noble houses. And okay, 17th century would be considered old, but a 19th century doll wouldn't be considered even barely old for them.
That's true.
So those just get pushed back and back and back, and then one day they get discovered.
Well, thank God they preserved them, because
Yes.
this is just such an amazing example.
It is, yeah, and she's a wonderful size. I mean, I think when it comes to these, you know, we've had them this big, and we've had them this big, but she's a nice mid range. But you take them any way you get them.
Oh, that's right. You know, that is one of the things where, well, I don't have room for that tough.
Somebody got to go.
Yeah, somebody got to go.
Yeah.
If it's a child, it might be your husband.
Yeah.
But you're gonna make room for that. Doll.
Yes, you are. Well, and I didn't mean to start a spat, but with our experts. However, they didn't get to really look at this and the way we have to look at the legs.
I feel so privileged to be able to look at this doll close up. I mean, this is such an opportunity, and she's just, I've always loved her. I've always loved her expression, the serenity, and
well,
the
and
condition.
I think that is, I think that's interesting, because last week someone wasn't very complimentary to her, and that might have been her attitude problem. But I think she's actually perked up now that you're here.
You don't have to take her back to the mission.
Well, I will, because it's fun, you know. And the great thing about California is when you walk into, you know, the basilica with a doll like this, not one person asks you what you're doing. Well, anyways, thank you, doll friends. We'll be back. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.